front-end JavaScript developer. I started my journey in the 2018, worked with the Leveral vacancy technology, and now I'm working with the senior software engineer in Symphony. Apart from the development, I'm leading the team in the Symphony at 15 plus members. In the free time, I'm writing on the technical topics on the Symphony, on the stake overflows, and apart from these, I am also the active planner member of the React Ahmedabad. Okay, now don't waste your time, let's start. So, what will be our today's agenda, right? What we will cover? It will be like how to upgrade to the React 18, what is concurrent rendering, automatic paging, what's new in the React Street mode, then new suspend features, transitions, and we'll newly introduce some hooks. Okay. Now, I know, right? In the Saturday morning, तैयार थઈને જવું બહાર it's difficult. So after seeing all happy face, इतनी तो खुशी हमने आज तक नहीं देखी थी. So thank you all. Now, first thing is, as we are learning the things, what's new in the React 18, right? So first we will see how we want to upgrade to the React 18. So nothing, just we are all familiar, just whatever we have to do npm install, right? So to do install the React to the latest version, nothing, just npm install React down. If you have a TypeScript, then you just need to install the @types React and @types React down to the latest version. So after updating the React 18, if you go to the browser and see the console, so you will find one warning that is React down.render is no longer supported, and if you want to use the React 18 features, then you want to go to the create root. So now, create root function is the king of the React 18, we can say. Whatever the new features we have, that is concurrency, automatic paging, all will be supported if you go to the React.create root. Okay. Now let's see on the code wise how we have to implement the create root function. We will see left first figure. I know it's not that much clear, but it's okay. In the React 17, we have a render function from the React down. We are taking the container, and in the render function, we are passing the app with the container. Now, what's if we want to go to the React 18, right? In the React 18, we have a create root function. That is, we need to import it from the React DOM/client. We will make one root DOM element in the structure that create root, and we will pass the container only once. And root.render, and whatever the app we want to render, we just need to pass it. So, what is the difference here between these two APIs? There is a lot of behind the scene change in the API. Because of that, we are able to use that new features. But main thing you can see is, in the React 17, we have a callback features, so we can write the callback in the render function. But where in the React 18 we can't. And if you are doing the server-side rendering, then we are using in the React 17 we are using the hydrate function, where we in the React 18 we need to use the hydrate root function. Now let's take an example of the concurrent feature. That is the main feature of the React 18, right? So before we move into any of the coding example, let's take a phone call analogy example. Assume that you have to call to your parents and your friend both, right? First figure we saw that is a concurrent feature. Non-concurrent feature means you can do one thing at a time. So you can do call with your parents only at a time, or you can do call with your friend only at a time. No both tasks with the parallel. Now what does it mean, the concurrency feature? Second figure shows that it's the concurrent feature. Concurrent feature means you are taking call with your friend, and in between your parents call you. Now you know, right? Supreme Court no call to pehla ji padho pade. So what you will do? You will hold your friend call. You will take it your parents call as a first priority, complete it, and now your friend calls and do the conversation, right? That means if you have a concurrent feature, what you can do, you can pause something, you can, we can say, you can close your friend calls also, right? So what does it mean in the React is, if you can convert the same calling strategy to the React set state, that in the React as well, it's possible to, in the rendering, you can update the rendering to the in the middle. That is, you can pause the rendering, you can continue later, or you can quit the rendering also if you have a higher priority rendering is coming. So how that all will happen in the code, that we will see later. Now, new feature is the automatic batching. I know this feature, even we don't care or we haven't idea, this is happening behind the scene. But we all saying like React 18 applications are too fast, right? So we should know why it's fast. So behind the scene, the feature is automatic batching. It's only, it's provide fewer rendering. So component rendering will come the fast, and ultimately your application will come the fast. For that, I have one example. That is in, same to same example I have in the React 17 and same example I have in the React 18. So based on the live example, you will see how the render will differ. So yeah, it's visible, right? I have one example that is on the React 17. Same example I have that is on the React 18. And what we have in the example, nothing else. I have two variables. 0 says the counter and no, that is the flag I have maintained, true or false. And same thing in the 18. And we have three buttons. I'm not sure title is properly visible or not. Let me. Okay. First one is the simple event handler. Second button is for the async operations. And third one is for the timeout handler. Now I am going to the code to show you what exactly I did. Code is properly visible, right? At the end. Yeah. Now you can see I have a score is a one state variable, then flag is a second variable, and what is there in the render function is I'm printing the version in that we have a project that is like React 17, then printing the score and flag, and I have three buttons. One is simple handle click, one is the async click, and one is the timeout click, right? On the handle click, you see that I am setting the two flags. On the async handle click, I am doing one async operation that is doing the API call. You can relate this with the your project. For example, you have some listing kind of thing, right? So what you will do in user-effect, you will call one API. After the API response, you will set the loading false, set some result, set some other variable, set some stateless. Ultimately, after the API call, you always set 2-3 variables. So what exactly that variables will do in the performance wise, that we will see today. And on the handle click, we have a set timeout function, right? And same to same functions, I have same variable. In the React 18. Sorry, I am on the wrong component. I need to go here on the automatic batching. Yep. Now, let's move into the example that what I want to show you. Now, first of all, batching means what? Batching means you are grouping the multiple states in the one rendering. As you have seen, we are doing two states, that is set flag and set score in the one method, right? That means in the React we are batching two set state in a one code. Now I will click on the event handler function, and I have put it one console on the program. That is component is rendering. So what will happen? When I click on the event handler, you will see component rendering console at one time. That means in the React 17, if you have a simple event link, then doesn't matter how many set state you are doing, right? But component will render only once. That means automatic batching only that is already happened in the React 17 only in the simple click. Now I am doing async operation. We know we did one API call, and after that we are setting the two variables. So let me click on the async handler function. You will see one API request gone, and what happened? You see component rendering console coming twice. That means if you are doing any async operation and you whatever time you are doing the set state, if you have 4 set state, your component will render 4 times. But what happens if you are React 18? Now I am doing the same thing, same code I have. That code is also available in my GitHub repository, so you can try at your home at your free time as well. Now I am doing the async handler click, but you can see console coming only once. That means now we are clear, right? Why React 18 application are fast? Because they have implemented automatic batching. That means all the set state will happen. After that, React will start the rendering of the component, and it will render only once. Same go with the set timeout thing. Now I am clicking on the timeout handler. In the React 17, you can see a console log coming twice. Where in the React 18, you can see it's coming only one, right? So that's the major update. In the promise or set timeout functions, React will do automatic batching by itself in the 18, and it will do the less rendering. That's why your application becomes the fast. But we have always question, right? Why if I don't want to do this? Why if I want same behavior that React 17 has in the React 18? Sometimes we may have a requirement also. For example, if one variable is changing in a one go, we need to show some kind of other behavior in the application, right? Then we have one method called the React flushing. If you do the set state on the flushing method, then at that time React will render component here again. Anyone have any questions still? No? Okay. Now, what's new in the React strict mode? If you don't have an idea in between what's happening, then situation will be like this. Right? You are thinking, why use effect calling getting twice? And she is thinking other thing, right? Okay. It's just for fun. In the React 18, they are suggesting to every time in the development purpose, you should use strict mode. What React 18 will do? It will do your component of mounting, unmounting, and remounting. That means if you are in the development mode, your component will always mount to 10. And we all know if you are using the strict mode, then we found some errors in the development mode early, right? And if you want to see the live things, then now I have enabled the strict mode in the React 18, and I am putting one use effect. In that, what I write, in the mounting phase, I just put at the console log for the mounting, and in the unmounting, I just put at the console log for the unmounting. Okay. Now it's visible up to end. Cool. Yep. Now you can see the console, right? You will see mounting, unmounting, and mounting. That shows that in the development mode, your component will mount twice. So if you are working with the new versions, then you make sure you are aware of this, because if you write something called the API call in the user effect, then you will think why it's calling twice, right? But it's only happen in the development mode. If you go to a production, and you will see it will only call once. Okay, moving ahead. Now, new suspense SSR chapter. I know if we want SSR feature, we will jump to the new framework, so-called Gatsby or the Next.js, right? And we are also using the features, but we don't know why it's working under the hood. It's so basically features of the React that Next and Gatsby are using. So I will try to explain you how it's actually working behind the scene. So let me take first example of the client-side rendering. What will happen in client-side rendering? React component will process and render on the client side. And we are familiar with the suspense and lazy functions on the client side to decouple the layout parts, right? And in the figure you can see load.js, first phase will be the load.js, then fetch data, then render component, till that your screen will be white screen, right? If you are on the client side. And on the last step, that is the interactive session, on that screen you will see the interface and your screen becomes active. So why we should go for the server-side rendering? On the server-side rendering, what will happen? Your React components HTML will generate on the server, and it will send response to the client. Then on the client side, JS will load, and the JS will assign to that HTML component. That process is known as the hydration. Benefits here is you can see that fetch data. In the second phase, render is the HTML. Your user has some HTML to see at least, right? Doesn't matter if it's interactive or not, but they have some screen to see that if you have some server-side rendering. So that's the main benefit. Then load the JS and hydration will occur at the last step. Now, what happened if your internet speed is slow, right? And on the before React 18, what happened? Each and every step on the server side, that is fetch data, whole application's data will be fetched on the one go. Entire application's data, HTML will render in a one go. Load JS, that is we have to load the JS for the entire application. And last step is we have to do the hydration for the entire application. That means kind of waterfall model before React 18. But if you have internet speed very slow, or say the bundle size is very large, then what will happen? As it's a waterfall model, so you have to wait each and every steps to complete fast, right? So it's not a good UI looking, you can say, or you have to wait till the HTML will load if you have a bundle size is large. So what they have did, suspense will not solve that slow internet speed or high weightage bundle, right? But they have some sort of mechanism in that you can show that your website is still some layer at best to the user. So how it will happen? So before React 18, what's the issue with the server-side rendering? You have to fetch everything before you can show anything. You have to load everything before you can hydrate anything, and you have to hydrate anything before you can interact anything. Now how it's resolved in the React 18. There is a two feature, streaming HTML from the server. For that we have to use the render to the pipeable stream method, and another is the hydrate to fit the suspense. Now I will explain that SSR feature with this figure. Let's take from the left hand side. You can see first you have a navbar, then right hand side sidebar is there. First part you can say some post is there, and then there is a comments. We all know if anyone do comments, say post, comment section is always heavy loaded. Many text, images and all those, right? So we can assume that comments will take a high time to load. Now, though color is not properly visible here, but in my left hand side the figure is in the gray section. That means you can assume that only HTML is rendered. On the right hand side it's in a green color. That means you can assume that HTML is rendered, JavaScript is assigned to it, and your website is hydrated, so you can do the interaction with it. Though color is not properly visible, so I'm not sure how it will go, but let me try. So first issue we have is fetch everything before you can show everything, right? So to solve this, what we will do? We will stream the HTML before all data fetch. As we assume that the comment is a heavy loaded thing, right? So we will not load the comments. You can see in line number 12, I have added a suspense, right? With the fallback spinner. So what will server will do? On the right hand side, you can see last three lines. I have sections with the ID comment spinner. So what it will do? It will load the entire HTML with not the comments. It will first pass the spinner image on it. Because comments is not loading ready, it's heavy loaded. So how it will look on this front end side? You will see HTML is rendered for the navbar, side panel and post, but the sphere is rendering on the comment side. And once the comments is ready, it will come like this. We have a comments and some script. In that we are giving the target that by this ID you have to go and attach the comments. So if you are server-side rendering, then you can see that your user will not have to wait till everything will load. Once the comment is ready, it will pop up. Now second issue we have is load everything before you can hydrate anything. So once you are adding suspense to the code, we are telling React that you don't have to wait till the suspense component will be ready. So it will also do like render the HTML and also start the hydration as well of that part. Doesn't matter comments is come or not. So that is also benefits. Even the comments is not low, your website is interactive and you can click on the sidebar. The third thing is hydrate everything before you can interact with anything. Now in this example I have taken two suspense. Line number 8 you can see that sidebar is also in the suspense. And line number 13, you can see the comment is also in suspense. Right? Now we have two suspense components. That means we are telling React that we don't have to wait for two components. You can go and render navbar and post. Right? Now, both sidebar and post are in the we can say the rendering phase. Just HTML is loaded, JavaScript is remaining. And what if user clicks on the comment section? That React assume that user are excited to interact with the comments, so it will take as a priority, hydrate the comment first and then hydrate the sidebar. So you have I'm not sure, but some of you have noticed that in the Next.js application, if your application is not interactive and you click on some part, then it will load first that part because of this feature. Okay, now let's move into the transition. Transition is a new concept that distinguishes between the urgent and non-urgent updates. What does it mean by urgent updates? If you do some clicking, typing, selecting from the drop down, that is the urgent updates. Let's take an example of a table with the filters, right? If you type something on the filter input, you want to see whatever you have typed exactly immediately, right? That is urgent thing we want to see. But we are expecting some delay. As we know, filter will do the API calls and come after this, and we are showing the response. So we always expect some delay, and we are happy with it. That means we are seeing that updating phase is not an urgent thing, right? For this kind of thing, which method we are using till now? Sorry? Right, debouncing. Right? Now we will see how it's differed in the React 18 with transition. That will come under the React 18 hooks. Yep, first hook, that is use transition hook. It will return the two values. One is the is pending flag that will tell us that the transition is completed or not. And the another one is the transition function that makes your state update as a transition flow. Okay. Now let me give you a live example. Yep, screen is properly visible, right? Up to end. Yep. What we did in the line number 5, you can see I have one text variable, stat. Then I have another variable called state called query, and I'm using the use transition hook. It's giving us the two variable is pending and the set transition. Right. Now I have input in the render part. Input. On the on change, what we are doing in the line number 11, we are doing the set text. That means we are doing the urgent updates that we want to see instantly. And another set state we are doing in the set transition method, that is set query. What it will do when we type something, for example, say AS, right? That AS will be visible because in the text we are doing the urgent transition. And what happens if in the set transition, it will set the value and React, in the background React will try to manipulate the DOM using two variables, A and S. For example, if we are typing third variable D on the input, right? Then what happened? It will take that urgent transition first, and as we know, React can abandon background transition. So what will happen? If third variable come to the input, React will skip that rendering of the other two variables and try to make it with the third one. So you will see only output with these third character. So let's go to the browser and see. Before that, yes, I have a so list variable. In that I am passing the transition value query. And so list is nothing but just whatever we type, we will show you. Just we are looping it and just making some slow performance so that everyone can notice. Because use transition and another hook we will see that is use default. If your computer will fast, then you will not see the difference how it will work. So I will slow down the performance to see how it works. Okay. Now it's something visible, right? Now I am typing something AS and something AS. You will see output only after AS, right? Let's do again. I am typing QW, loading is coming, and then E. So what will happen when I type QW? React will start the DOM manipulation behind the scene. But once we typing again. That means we are giving the urgent work to do. So the what will create do? It will show your urgent transition first. So you will see the output in the input, and your DOM manipulation will show the final value, that is the QWE, right? Same thing you can do with the another loop, that is use deferred value loop. Yep. In the use deferred value book, you have to just pass the variable, and that deferred value will map this two value. First, it will map with the initial value, then whatever you type, that is value, and the previous value. Based on that, the deferred value will generate the new value. So same thing, it's use deferred value also make the DOM manipulation in the background, and if the urgent transition will come, it will take it as a first priority, right? Same example we can perform. Here you can see the same in and same in show list, right? In the on change, what we are doing right now, we are only changing the set state of the text, and in the use deferred value, I am passing the text. That deferred value will come after from the use deferred hooks. Now I am moving to the use deferred example. Same way, I am typing something. Yep, if I do on the fly, then you will see some same output, right? So same thing you can do with the use deferred and the use transition. Now, this question for you guys. Someone suggests, right, we are using the debounce until now. So, what is the difference between the debounce, throttling, and that use deferred or use transition we have shown, right? Anyone? Use debounce, use debounce or debouncing function we are using since 2-3 years or from where you are doing the development. So you are familiar with that, and I have, yes? Any other difference? Anyone know? This one is right. Any other difference? Anyone want to try? No? Yes?
I think from the rebouncing, we can save the network request, but I'm not sure that like with this we can save the network request or not, because we just manipulating the norm, but I'm not sure it saves the network request.
No, it will do multiple network requests as well. Instead of it do the larger request than the debounce. Just it improve the performance on the UI side.
Yeah, but like my main concern is that I just use the network request. If I put 5 inputs, I'll apply them, only make one network request again. But from this, I'm not sure that you will going to only make network request is very active or do the network request, but only at the ground line.
Okay, let me explain. In that case, what happened? Network request will go on every words. For example, say I am typing QWE, right? So network request will happen on every 3 variables. What will happen? DOM mutation will happen only after the urgent calls will over and final we have output, then and then React will update the DOM. So that will be the case. In the real development we have to use the debouncing and these hooks together to make the good performance. But we will provide the one hamper to that guy, first one.
Sure.
This is the right difference, but I am looking for the one main difference, that is the new. If anyone knows. Yes, please. Sorry, I'm not getting you. Can you come again?
Like in the debouncing, we have to specify like which part we need to take like first priority. Based on that, we write the logic. So it's like imperative programming. So that's the we do in the debouncing and the throttling. But while in the default, React take the control for the DOM. Like we have to just specify, and it will do their part. React will do that part, and we just get the output. So that's
Okay, well tried, but let me explain. Okay, so first thing is right, that is debouncing. What it will do? Debouncing means you have to wait for users to stop typing for some time. That we are passing in the millisecond, right? After that millisecond, once user will stop typing, and after some milliseconds we will wait. Then API call will happen. In the throttling, you have to update your list every once in a while. That means most of the time we are waiting for the say 1 second or something. But in the debounce, we are not providing the fixed delay. Then how it will happen? That is the answer already, like we are giving in the first. We are not providing the first fixed delay, right? Then how it defining that we have to render? That is the thing. If you have a debounce or throttling, then they are not doing the, say, the background rendering or something, right? But in the use transition and use default hook, they are doing the background rendering of your DOM manipulation, and it's like interruptible. React, as I have mentioned earlier, React manipulating the DOM with first two variable, and if urgent transition will come, then what it will do, it will interrupt the previous one and make it a new one, right? So that interruptible transition is possible. Now, next question for you guys. Then what is the difference between use transition and use default value? Yes, please. I look like you will get an helper for sure.
So in the use transition, we use that hook when we have control to update the state which is required to be deferred. But in the use deferred value, we have to pass the value which come from the another library. So that's why that's the main difference between these two.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, please. He is like, he got, yeah, I stopped the question and he's me. Good. Yes, that is the main difference. Like I mentioned, both hooks are doing same thing. Then why these two hooks we have, right? In the use default value, you don't have control of the set state. Where it will be useful, for example, if you are working with some third-party library where you don't have access of the set state thing, right? Then you can use the use default value. And when you have access of the set state permission, then you can use the use transition. Now coming to the new hook, that is the use external store. These hook also is not that much useful for our purpose, but when we are interacting with the Redux or some other libraries, then we are in the surprise like why Redux have such powerful thing. But everything is already under the hook mentioned in the React. So use sync external hook is for the third-party state management library. In that, like we are managing the state from the outside of the React application, or we can use this hook with the browser APIs. So how it will work? It will take the 3 arguments. First one is the subscribe function. That function should subscribe the store and return the function that unsubscribe the store. Now second argument we have is the get snapshot. That will read the snapshot of the store at each and every time. And third one is the get server side snapshot. That is the optional thing, but if you are doing the server side rendering, then you have to pass some value that is that will return when server is when component is rendered from the server. So I have made one example on the same that is using the browser API. Yeah. In the line number 4, you can see in the use external store, we have a subscribe function. What subscribe function do? In the line number 16, we are taking one browser API, that is the resize. So in the subscribe, we are passing the 2 functions, add event listener and remove event listener, and both will be on the resize. Now get snapshot. Every time what we have to read from the store, that is window.inner, line number 13. And the server side snapshot, I have passed generally like 2 because I am not doing a server side right now. Now coming to the output. Yep. And you can see how it will change. In the browser API, you will not see the improvement and all, but with the third-party state management library, you can see how it will work properly. Now, one more new hook, that is the use insertion effect. In the React, we are generally doing that CSS in JS, right? So it's a version of the use effect. We can say use insertion effect is, but it will fire before any DOM mountation. So what will happen? Whatever the CSS you will provide, it will available to DOM before it will load, right? So there are 3 common ways to CSS in JS. How we can do? First one is the static extraction of the CSS file to the compiler. Then the second one, most related, we can pass the inline. Then third one is the injection of the style tag at the runtime. React, we don't recommend us to provide the third runtime style component, because what will happen if you provide a runtime style tag, right? It will force browser to recalculate the styles a lot more often, and it can be very slow if you provide the tag style tag at the wrong time. What happens if you DOM manipulation and style apply, all process will near to complete and you are injecting the new style. Your website will flicker and something wrong behavior will happen, right? So what use insertion effect will do? It will help us in the second option, and it will provide all the style before your DOM will mount. So you will see the proper effect of the style. Okay, that's it from my end. Any questions for me? No? That means મને કઈ સમજાવતા ન આવડે કે તમને કઈ સમજાણું? Yes, please.
Hello. So what is the difference between use layout and use insertion?
Okay. Use insertion effect will help us only for the CSS purpose.
But the use layout effect also get involved for the applications.
Yeah, but it will not provide the style effect. style support it will not provide. Yeah, both will fire before the new support.
That's the only difference.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other?
How to use the server side lazy and
Code I have already shown, right? And if you use that hybrid root APIs and all, you will see the same kind of output. The main thing is in the React 18 you can use that suspense and lazy load on the server side. Before React 18 you can't use it. It will throw an error. Thank you. Anything for me?
So what's the actual need to re-render the to mount the component twice in the middle?
Actually, React is still currently working on that. If you go away from the one screen and back to the main screen, it will show the previous state what at which level they are. They are still currently working on it. Because of these performance issues, they are doing the twice component mount. Yeah, it's only on the developer. Thank you. Anything for me?
Like how we can find our overall bundle size from where we can see like our bundle size is now 500 KB.
That's not a part of the React 18, but we have a React bundle analyzer NPM. You can install it in the React and you can analyze the bundle. And in between, in detail, you can find which library it's taking particular which field. We have a generally that issue if you are using the lodas and if you are not importing it the proper way, it will take a lot more size in the bundle. Thank you. Yeah, and the last thing is, you guys can connect me in any platform, on the LinkedIn, Twitter, GitHub, Medium, anywhere, just on the button. Thank you.
Thank you, Oni. That was a really informative session, I can say. But I have one question, not just for Oni. Anyone from the audience can answer. The question is like, let's say if I'm having some older project, okay, then on what basis would I decide to go with the 18 or not? Like, do we have any criteria or I should directly go with 18? Anyone from audience? The answer can be wrong because I don't know what is the right answer.
So basically in a older project, right? So bundle size may be high, performance may be low, and in React 18, we can say newer version. So there are other benefits like they are providing, right? It's kind of the performance improvement, securities, some patches, and majorly we can say the like modularities. In older version there are issues which they are maximum 18. And the second thing, like client may be ready, like if the budget or not, so that is dependent on client. In the case like in older version, then we get React into the business, right? So if we are going to the React 18, then we have to showcase some demo, and after that, like they are ready.
So that's a good point about the budget, I must have. Okay, but let's say I am having one project which is having around 15 or 16 React project. Okay. Then should I insist trying to go with the 18? Or if years, then like how much time I can expect? Will it be a week, or what kind of duration should I take?
So I just recently updated one project from React 12 to the package. So basically, what is the issue over there? So some packages are deprecated in the like if you have to use a newer package, right? So that are deprecated in newer version. The second is the performance issues. Like bundles is getting high. So if you go with the level, so it will be around 7 to 8 MB for the bundle. And when we convert it to the new one, then it will hardly like 3 to 4 MB. The second is I can say like SSL is also there if you have to use. In older version like ACO support is not there, right? We have to use like third party, but in new one like we have like more plugins. cases, but
These are the major ones.
yeah.
Anyone else?
Harsh.
Can we have some goodies for us?
Yeah.
I hope you want it, right? Okay, so how many of you are here for the first time in the Ahmedabad meetup? Nice. Okay, let me reverse my question, it will be easy for me. How many of you are not here for the first time? Okay, yeah, this looks easy. Okay, so for the people who are here for the first time, how did you come to know about this event? LinkedIn? Twitter? Meetup? Yes? Any? From office? Good. Okay, so as you guys have come to know about this event from LinkedIn, Twitter, and other sources on social media, okay, so don't you think it is your responsibility as well to spread this word? Like we are having this kind of meetup in our city, we are doing this kind of things. Because all this kind of things is for just for the community. No one is getting paid for this. Okay. So if you are like if you come to know from someone else, it is now your responsibility to spread the word. Correct? And it is not free, of course. Don't worry. We are having some goodies for that as well. So what I want is that you can just use hashtag #Ahmedabad 7span and Simform. Okay. Just tweet it. If you are a Twitter user, you can share over the LinkedIn as well. Okay. What I just want is that we can spread this community as much as we can, because me alone or 7span or Simform alone cannot spread the word as much as we want. Okay, it is community, so I want it to be driven by the community, and the community is you, not we. Okay, so I hope that you guys can help us that much at least. Yeah, हाँ तो बोलो यार. Okay, thank you. So can I expect some tweets or LinkedIn post at the moment? Shall we do it? Facebook is also fine. Huh? It is not that I am not using, so I will not insist you guys. You can do that as well. Okay. So you can use hashtag #Ahmedabad 7span and Simform. We will announce some winners at the end of the event. So you are going to get something. I will not reveal what is that, but it is something exciting. Okay, so you can trust me on that. Okay, now I would like to welcome Mitali from the 7span team. First, yes, how many of you did like this venue? Okay, even I liked it. Okay, but Mitali has some more points to share about 7spans, what kind of activities they are doing. That is for developer perspective. Yes, Mitali.
Hey everyone. Good morning everyone. People in the back. Good morning everyone. That's the sort of vibe we want, right? We are from React community. We need to be like that. So yeah, what's up? क्यों चालू है? You know, password around backbenchers. Where are the front benchers? Why not so? Nice. Thank you, Omni, for a wonderful session. Thank you, Simform, for giving us this opportunity. And we are equally proud to be a venue partner. And so let me brief you guys regarding 7span. We are a passionate team of innovators, developers, creators, nationally and internationally. But let's have a huge round of applause for all of you for coming actually. Come on! Yeah, and keep posting because we have a lot of goodies for all of you. So more the posting, more the goodies will be for all of you. Okay, making it interesting for you. Who loves clubbing here? Do you? Do you love clubbing? Yes. So you know it's legal? That guy in the back. Do you know? Do you love clubbing? Yeah, the blue guy. Yeah, do you love clubbing? Do you know it's legal? Do you know? Do you know it's legal? I swear, police nahi aa rahe. I swear. Okay, so we have made it legally a bit for you, for all of you. So welcome Span Club, a very community-friendly club wherein we want all of you to learn, discover. You guys can even create your own championships. You guys can network and discover opportunities and possibilities for all of you. You guys can even be a part of a meme club that we have a channel over there. So it's all together for all of you. Just giving you a warning, we're not taking any data. We just want to create a community-friendly club wherein you all can just simply learn. That's the only agenda. So did you like the vibe over here? Our founders have made sure that we are not giving you any typical IT company vibe कि जब आया काम करया. We don't want you to do that. We surely live for once, but we want all of you to have a vibe so that you guys can simply come and be a part of this particular event. Hope you guys are having fun for 7 Span Club. If you guys want to be a part of it, we guys are even having a canvas for the same. If you guys can show. Yeah, so just simply, you guys can bring out your phone and you guys can even simply scan it and you guys can be a part of this wonderful community. There is already 300 plus people over there. So we look forward to having more fun with you. Thank you so much.
એના સિવાયના જે બી લોકો એ પાર્ટિસિપેટ કરી શકશે. કોઈ બી પર્સન અહીંયા આવવું પડશે તો કોણ ઇનિશિયેટિવ લેશે? કોઈ તમે ઇન્ટરનલી તો લોજિકલી અહીંયા હશો, લોજિકલી તમારે સપોર્ટ કરવાનો છે એમને, પણ ફિઝિકલી એક જ જોઈએ છે અહીંયા. Can you please give your brief introduction?
Hello everyone. Myself, Pankaj Chodalia. I'm since 5 years in IT field in Video Cloud Technology and Ahmedabad. Yeah, thanks everyone. What do we do?
તમે તમારું ઇન્ટ્રોડક્શન આપી દીધું, મારું બાકી છે. તો હું કઈ સેલિબ્રિટી તરીકે હું નહીં પૂછું કે કેટલા લોકો મને ઓળખે છે, પણ કેટલા લોકો મને કોન્ટેક્ટ કરીને ડાયરેક્ટ અહીંયા આવ્યા છે. ઘણા લોકો એવા હતા કે ડાયરેક્ટ ભાઈ હું આવી શકું નહીં, RSVP માં ફૂલ છે, વેઇટ લિસ્ટમાં નામ ચાલે છે અને Okay, so myself Pratik Bhutani. I am department head over here in mobile, and apart from that, I also love to contribute on Stack Overflow and GitHub. Since 2013, we and Ravi Ruparel, we both are attending this kind of events. Since we have started GDG Ahmedabad, we are reacting in here, like React Ahmedabad. So ત્યાંથી લઈને અત્યાર સુધીની જેટલી બી ઇવેન્ટ છે, દેવ ફેસ્ટ હોય કે એનાથી પણ મોટી કોઈ ઇવેન્ટ હોય, બહારની હોય કે અહીંયાની હોય, એ બધી અમે લોકો એટેન્ડ કરીએ છીએ અને હોપ છો કે તમે પણ હવે આવી રીતે એટેન્ડ કરતા રહેશો. ઓકે, સો આપણે ગેમ ચાલુ કરીએ. અહીંયા આવી જાઓ. પુનામાં કેમ ઉભા? બોલો. ઓકે, સો હવે ગેમમાં એવું છે કે તમે સમજી લો કે આપણે અહીંયા એક બાસ્કેટ રાખેલી છે અને એની અંદર 20 નંબર ઓફ બોલ્સ છે, બરાબર? 20 બોલ એની અંદર છે બાસ્કેટમાં. અમે બંને 1 બાય 1 ઉપાડશું. એમને કદાચ તમારી હેલ્પની જરૂર હશે તો એ તમને પૂછશે કે હું કેટલા ઉપાડવા. ઉપાડવામાં તો વાંધો નથી, પણ એની એક શરત છે કે મિનિમમ 1 ઉપાડી શકશો એટ એ ટાઈમ, ઓર એલ્સ મેક્સિમમ 5 ઉપાડી શકશો, બરાબર? એટલે 1 to 5 ની વચ્ચે ગમે એટલા બોલ ઉપાડી શકો. જે બાસ્કેટ પહેલા ખાલી કરશે એ વિનર, એને આપણે ગુડીઝ આપશું. એ તમારામાંથી પણ કોઈ ટ્રાય કર્યું હોય તો અમને પછી આવી જજો. જે વિનર થાય એમને ગુડીઝ આપશું, અને હું વિનર થઈશ તો મને પણ મળશે. હું તો રમાડું છું એટલે મને મળવું. ઓકે, તો લેટ્સ સ્ટાર્ટ કરીએ. ઓકે, સામે ઉભા રહે તો લાગે થોડું વર્ષે. ઓકે, તો આપણે એમને ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી આપીએ છીએ કે હું સ્ટાર્ટ કરું કે એ સ્ટાર્ટ કરશે. તો તમે કહેશો એમ થશે.
વડીલ પાસ.
હું જો હજી ક્લીન શેવ કરેલી તો હું હજી કોલેજમાં જ લાગીશ. ભલે મને 10 વર્ષનો એક્સપિરિયન્સ છે આ ફિલ્ડમાં, છતાં
દાદાજી
વધારે બેજતી થાય પહેલા સ્ટાર્ટ કરી દે. તો હું ઉપાડું છું 2 બોલ. તમારે કાઉન્ટ ગણવાના છે કેટલા બોલ વધ્યા.
ઘણા બધા ફોટા મારા ફોનમાં છે, હું શેર કરી દઉં.
20 હતા, 2 મેં ઉપાડ્યા. કેટલા રહ્યા? તમારો
વર્ચ્યુઅલ ઉપાડવાના.
હા, વર્ચ્યુઅલિટી બાસ્કેટ તો છે નહીં એમને.
આપણે 4.
4 કેટલા રહ્યા? 14. ચૌદ રહ્યા. ઓકે, 14 માંથી હું ઉપાડું છું 2. 12.
હવે કોઈ સજેસ્ટ કરો કેટલા ઉપાડવા જોઈએ? 5
ઉપાડ્યા, વધ્યા 7. મેં ઉપાડ્યો 1 બોલ. કેટલા વધ્યા?
હલો 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 હલો
બોલો.
હલો આગળ લઈને
એક ઉપાડશે તો હું 5 ઉપાડીશ. બીજો કોઈ?
થી 5 નો ઉપાડવાનું લ્યો. ગમે એટલા બધા લઈ શકશો.
તો
મારે એક નહીં લેવાના.
પહેલી વખતમાં હું વિનર થયો, બરાબર? ચાલો આપણે બીજી વાર સ્ટાર્ટ કરીએ. બોલો, તમે ઉપાડશો કે હું ઉપાડું?
શું કે
ચાલો, મેં ફરી વખત 2 ઉપાડ્યા. હું તમને લોજિકથી નજીક લાવીશ.
હલો
ના ના,
હલો
ડિપેન્ડ છે.
હલો
મેં 2 ઉપાડ્યા, 18 બોલ વધ્યા.
આપણે 5 પાછા ઉપાડવા.
5 ઉપાડ્યા, 13 વધ્યા. મેં 1 ઉપાડ્યો, 12 વધ્યા.
હલો માઇક ટેસ્ટિંગ હલો
3 ઉપાડ્યા.
3 ઉપાડ્યા, કેટલા વધ્યા? 9 વધ્યા. મેં બી 3 ઉપાડ્યા.
હલો
આપણે બધા લઈ લીધા. પાછા નાખી દીધા અંદર બધા.
ઓકે, હવે આપણે એમને ચાન્સ આપીએ છીએ. મિનિમમ 1 છે, મેક્સિમમ એમને વધારવા હોય તો વધારી શકે છે કોઈ બી ડિજિટ. 20 નંબર ઓફ બોલ્સ છે, 20 ની જગ્યાએ 30, 35, 40 કરવો હોય તો કરી શકે છે. એમના ઉપર ડિપેન્ડ છે. એમની જગ્યાએ બીજે કોઈ આવું છે?
હલો
મેડમ હલો હલો કરે છે, પેલા આવું જ આવી જાવ.
હા, કોઈને ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી જોતી હોય આવી જજો. હા,
બગ ફિક્સ થઈ ગયો છે, જલ્દી આવું જ આવી જાવ. પુશ થાય છે થોડું.
પછી સ્ટાર્ટ થઈ જશે ડિપ્લોયમેન્ટ.
આવી જા, તું બી આવી જા, તમે બી આવી જાવ. સેવા પણ વાળા નથી કદાચ ફ્યુચરમાં હોઈ શકે. અત્યારે સારું, તમે બે બોલ મારા પરથી ઉપાડજો. હું ઉપાડું, પછી તમારું ઉપાડવાનું, પાછો હું ઉપાડીશ, પછી
તમે રમો?
હા, હું રમું છું, રમાડું છું. ઓકે, 20 નંબર ઓફ બોલ્સ છે, રાઈટ? અત્યારે 20 જ રાખીએ આપણે, પછી વધારે 20. તમારે લેવો છે ટર્ન કે હું લઉં પહેલા?
તમે
હું તો લઉં જ છું, દર વખતે 2 ઉપાડું જ છું.
ચલો 2 ઉપાડ.
2 ઉપાડ્યા, તો 2 ઉપાડ્યા છે, મેં ઉપાડ્યો 1, 17 વધ્યા, બરાબર? 3 ઉપાડ્યા, કેટલા વધ્યા? 14. મેં 2 ઉપાડ્યા, 12. 2 ઉપાડ્યા, કેટલા વધ્યા? 10. મેં ઉપાડ્યા 4. ફરીવાર લાસ્ટ ટ્રાય, બરાબર? કારણ કે ફિક્સિંગ થઈ ગયું છે, ચાલુ થઈ ગયું. આ બધું આપણને નહીં આવડે એટલે ચાલુ કરો. ચાલો, હવે તમારો
બે ઉપર
પાછા ઈ બારે આવવાનું ટ્રાય કરશે બે ઉપાડ્યા હું એક ઉપાડું આ વખતે ઈ જીતી જશે પાછા બે ઉપાડ્યા હવે નહીં જીતે કેટલા રહ્યા પેલા બે ઉપાડ્યા હતા પછી મેં એક ઉપાડ્યો પાછા 15 રહ્યા મેં 3 ઉપાડ્યા 3 ઉપાડ્યા 9 રહ્યા મેં 3 ઉપાડ્યા હું મારી જાઉં ઓકે તો આપણે આ ગેમ ને અહીંયા ફ્લટર વાળું છે કોઈ ફ્લટર કઈ વાંધો ફ્લટર માં બનાવ રિએક્ટ માં બનતી હોય તો આપણે રિએક્ટ માં બી બનાવશું ફ્લટર માં ગેમ બને છે હા તો ફ્લટર માં આપણે આ ગેમ બનાવશું બરાબર લોજિક મારી પાસેથી લેવાનું ગેમ તમારે બનાવવાનું ચાલો થેન્ક યુ
Hello and good morning everyone. So my name is Codegen and I am coming from a fintech in Codegen and today I am presenting the micro front-end architecture with React. So how many of you already aware about micro front-end architecture? Please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Great. And how many of you have already worked with a live project in micro front-end? So nice. Today we will discuss about micro front-ends and its architecture, and I hope you guys can enjoy. And I'm thankful for React Ahmedabad and entire team of React Ahmedabad, Ravi Muparila and everyone for supporting us, and Seventh One for such a nice night. So let's get started. So yeah, I'm a creative soul by heart and front-end developer. So you guys can find me on every platform. Majorly, I'm available in LinkedIn. So it's nice to connect with you all. Thank you. Today we will discuss about what is micro front-end architecture, history of micro front-end architecture, different approaches, how to create an architecture and how it will be helpful. My ultimate goal right now is to deliver something to you guys that whenever you have a live project, or at least you can able to tell your companies that I have learned something about it. I have created one minor app regarding that and I can able to do that project. Before 1 year, I have one client and I was totally blank that what is micro front-end architecture, and I have struggled 3 months to understand it properly and to work with the client live. So that is why I am over here to stand up for everyone, each of you to understand it and know you guys have a very understanding regarding that. So next, today we will discuss regarding types of micro front-end and single spark. So majorly we are having a multiple frameworks, or we can directly create a micro front-end as well. But today our main focus is on a single spark. Single spark framework provides us micro front-end architecture. So we will deep down into that as well. Also, I will cover the steps of creating a single spark, so you guys can easily set up after going home after this session, and the project and structures, how the actual project is taken from the live client. So that, and let's get started. So what is micro front-end architecture? Basically, it is same as component, but in React we are creating a different components for a project. But what in React micro front-end architecture gives us the opportunity that we have to create a separate application for each functionality. It is not for a simple application, first of all. So what it is for? It is for a complex projects, it is for a big application where multiple developers, multiple teams and multiple people, and the methodology is complex. So that's why this architecture is helpful. If you set up for a simple project, it is much trickier than a big project. So yeah, in this micro front-end architecture, you guys can see that there are three micro front-end A, B, C. All have its own pipeline, all have its own CI/CD. And in production, after that, the three apps get together and showcase into our application actually. So one interesting thing which I have found at that moment is that previously we are having a React app, and over here we are for React Meetup. But using micro front-end architecture, you can have one application in Vue, one application in React, and one application in Angular. Three applications together works into one application and showcase into one big application. So it is very, like, I was mesmerized when I saw this, and after mesmerizing, I was also nervous, how can I achieve this? So yeah. So the main idea is that, in simple words, how many of you are going to the wedding for a food? Just like me. Yeah. So in wedding, we are having a live counter as well. So in live counter, you can see that there is one big tawa was there is some noodles, Manchurian is ready, there is some veggies is ready, and some sauces are ready. So all together are pre-cooked. Everything is pre-cooked. Whenever the client will come, the chef will mix it up and give it to the client. So this is the same process. In easy word, I can say is that the micro front-end works. It is all the applications are ready. It's just combining together, and instead of a component, it is creating the actual application with the actual application. So next. So you can see in this figure. Previously, we are. This is just a one simple. It is not as simple as you think, guys. So this is just a simple architecture where the team product is having this modal store entirely. Team checkout will have all the details regarding the billing and everything. Details are handled by the team. It is particular team, particular project. And one benefit I have found is that when we are working together in one file, if I change some minor change, other than this, other developers have worked, and I have seen that the tester will give some bugs which we have not created. How many of you have already faced that? Many of you have faced that you have created one file and you have just changed minor change in other developers' code, and that is not your fault, but still you get that bug. So this architecture will give you the benefit of having quite one and a half sort of architecture. So this is the team inspired. All three teams, all the members are divided. All are having different projects entirely, and in the end, all the projects together and giving us the actual output as the client requires or as the application needs. So some history of micro frontend. You can see that actual idea, when it comes from actual idea, the actual idea comes from microservices, where someone intelligent people understand that the microservices is going successful. So they decided that we need to create a one platform where frontend is also divided as microservices. So in 2016 it is started, and after that the main boom comes from 2022. When Webpack Module Federation has come down, and it is giving us the main actual benefit of micro frontends, but we will not discover that part right now because it is still another major topic, and the audience is from starting to mediator level audience. So I need to just continue with the single spar right now. So yeah, you can see this is the architecture history. Previously we are using the monolithic, where everything, the database, front and back end, all the things are together, and previously we are using this to create a formal website or whatever the application needed. After that, front end and back end is divided. After that, monolithic front end was going on, but someone has invented the idea that APIs are divided, the backend is totally divided, and the future which I need to discuss right now is micro frontend and microservices. They both are, everything is divided into different API structures, and everything is different, and in the end, all together, it will work as a whole system. So these are the features of micro frontend: scalability, team autonomy, better code organization, and user experience. And another one is independent deployment. So main thing which I found interesting that at the end when we deploy our code, it will take hours, right? Due to the bundle size and complexity of it, in the end, after like working for 6 to 12 months in one project, you guys are waiting, deployment is going and going. So every application is divided into parts, so each part is deployed differently. So the deployment process is quite easy. The scalability is quite easy because of its chunks are smaller, and better code organization. Due to the every individual team is representing their code, so code structure is quite better. You don't have to change entire code of other people's description and everything. So that is quite easy to manage when a big project, a big organization needed. So yeah, next. So these are the micro front-end frameworks right now in market. Much more are also there. The main thing today we will discuss is single SPA. So this is the oldest one and most popular one in micro front-end structure. So let's jump into it. So how many of you have already heard of this frameworks? Anyone? Which ones do you have heard? Yeah. Nice. There is a model for there is model federation as well. Just a glitch. So today we will discuss regarding single spark, and it is called a single page application module, and it together is creating a one framework. So that is we will discuss in detail right now. So what are the benefits and limitations of creating a micro front end? So some major benefits which giving us is improved performance, easy scalability, maintenance, incorporation of a different technology, and optimal use of resources. For a company level, one benefit is that with the minimal resources, we can use the minimal resources and create a one entire project. Suppose one entire team is using creating an application in Angular, another is in creating Vue, and another is creating in React. At the end, organization not have to hire multiple React developers or Vue developers to create an application. So that is the one benefit for the organization as well. So some limitations are that I have already mentioned that it is overly complex for the simplest project. If you want to create just a simple project or header, footer, or something a single power like 10 to 12 pages, it is not for that. It will give you headache when you try to develop it. But let's try it by own. So I will show you that sample demo as well, how to create it. And it is having a learning curve. It is having a performance issue. The performance issue I need to discuss is that when you want to create, you have to manage the packages, because you are using React, Vue and Angular together. Different packages are for different applications. So that is where the performance issue is also there. and we need to communicate constantly to the entire teams differently. So all have one together, all can understand it, that what's going on, why we are developing what we are developing. So that is the limitations of micro frontend as well. So yeah, this is the actual scenario of a single SPA is giving us. It is handling React, Angular and Vue and many other JavaScript frameworks together to provide us the entire application look and feel. So what is JavaScript? Sorry. Yeah, how many of you know what is JavaScript? Okay. Another one. Please. તમે હાથ રેઝ કર્યો ને. What is JavaScript? એ તો ખબર છે પછી. Perfect. Thank you. So today we will discuss regarding single SPA. It's a JavaScript framework for building, testing, deploying number of JavaScript micro frontends independently with a single frontend application. Single SPA frameworks let us navigate the website without loading. So we have faced many times that if one component, as Omni has already mentioned, that it is rendering has a process. So for rendering it fast, we need to have a suspense as well. So for single SPA, it provides us the features of rendering easily. So if you are using React, Angular and Vue differently, you will not identify that this application is from Angular, this application is from React and this application is from Vue. So that is the one also benefit of it. Rather than component, we are having the entire application integrated like a puzzles, I have already mentioned. So it is including the mounting, unmounting, updating and bootstrapping events for by own for creating it. So what is the purpose of a single SPA? The purpose is use a lot of frameworks in a same application, deploy your micro frontend independently, write new code using new frameworks. Suppose you are working on an application, right? And after a while you guys think that we need to add one new feature. Suppose Gmail has already have multiple other things as well. So that features we can add using micro frontends. So that is the front-end barrier is not there. We can directly implement in any language we wanted and just integrate it into our application. So lazy loading improves the initial load time. It is single SPA already has its own lazy loading feature, so user cannot have to wait for it. So next. These are the major concepts of a single SPA. For creating a single SPA application, first you need is applications, second you need is parcels, and third you need is utility. So in a brief, if I wanted to show you that the application is a chunk of UI renders with the route. It's the actual application whichever you are guys developing in your application, like day-to-day life. It's just same as that. Parcels is a UI manually rendered by an application. So parcel is needed when you are working with different frameworks like Angular, React and Vue. But parcel is not recommended when we are using the same frameworks. So we are using single SPA but not using React, Angular and Vue, just creating a React framework applitions, all the application with the React framework. Where there at the time parcel is not needed. And what is utility? So utility is one kind of logical based component, I can say, where you have to just write the JavaScript actual logic and share throughout all the applications, right? The main concern is that if we needed one application to communicate with another application, in that scenario we are not using majorly micro frontend needed when the less amount of communication is needed. But for sharing the logic, we can use the utility modules for it. So these are the different things, routing, API, and this is the differences for all the three. Next. So sharing dependencies in a single SPA, import maps and module federation with Webpack. So how many of you have already heard about my module federation? What is module federation?
Like the route from where we want to take our like the other application which is in Angular. But yeah, like I just gone through the basics. But yeah.
Nice.
It is a
It is correct answer. Module federation is also used for connecting micro front ends. So let's see. We are not going deep down into module federation versus single SPA. It's a deep level or conceptual level thing. So we are not going into it. But the thing he has mentioned is correctly right, and I wanted to add a few more things as well. But before that, we will start with the import maps. So import map is just same as we are using other libraries. We are just need to import it in a script tag, and we can use it into entire application differently. So same thing we are using into different frameworks and in JavaScript as well. So import map is working same in a single SPA as well. So sharing dependencies with module federation. So I have highlighted the main difference, the core difference between module federation and micro frontend. Micro frontends is share the UI between the application, and module federation is to share JavaScript code between the application. This is the main core concept, main difference which we can say with the module federation and micro frontends. And especially with this, it also applies to the single SPA as well. So let's create app with single SPA. Same as create app, we are having one command which is npx create single SPA. For that, for creating a micro frontend with single SPA, we need to create 4 applications separately. So first we will create a container app which contains all the application together in one application. After that, we are creating a navigation app, dashboard app and details app. But after the output, the main core idea right now is to understand you guys that what is the core need and idea of it. If you see output, you guys think that it will be done by JavaScript as well, normal JavaScript as well. But the actual level, the project level thing is totally different. So if you understand the core idea, then you guys can understand the details as well in later. So for creating a root app, we will first go into the screenshot. For creating a root app, first of all you need to create one entire folder, just like I have created demo app, whatever name you can give. But the container app is the actual name of application. npx create single SPA, and after the entering the command, you guys have a few options to select. The select type generator, the single SPA root config is the main thing. First of all, if we wanted to create a container app, we need to create it as a root container config. After that, you guys can add the organization name, what is the engine you needed or not, npm or not, TypeScript needed or not. It will support everything which you are working right now in a React. So after this step, you guys need to create a navigation app. So previously we have seen that we have selected the npm root, right? But for creating all the applications app which we are showing into different components of it, so we need to create one single SPA application / parcels. So these both are different things. For using this, we are creating applications navigation, dashboard app and details app. So just need to select the application / parcel, and everything else is same. So same way we need to create a dashboard app and details app with the same command. So after that, what we need to do, create activity functions.js. This is a function which I have created to in my container app, or we can call it as a in actual application. I will zoom it and you guys can able to easily see it. So over here, what I have done is just the three functions, simple JavaScript functions I have written, which is providing you the prefix of which container to load or which container not to load. Suppose dashboard to load or not. So these are the three functions I have created, and I am using this file into my root config.js file. For root config file is the actual file of application which contains the logic. It is same as like it is the umbrella. Single spa is the umbrella, and all the different applications or all the different components are there, which are sub part of it. So it is just a route. It is giving you the simple route thing, and your applications will lazy load after that. So next, you can see that there is one. Just a minute. These are all the steps. Only I will show you in actual code, so you guys can visibly see it. It is visible now? Okay. So for root config.js, we need to single SPA has imported the registered application and the start. Two functions are there. So for registered application, each and every application we need to show into that specific page. We need to first register it, right? Otherwise, how can single SPA will know that which module to load and which module to not to load? So these are simply we need to give. This is my application name, system.import. One important thing, a single SPA is using the system.js in that actual core logic. So few functions which it is having is actual from a system.js as well. So it's just importing my application and is active by default. If I need to active that application or not, it is active is indicating that, and the document of get element by ID, which node I need to show that application. So this is a micro front end layout.html file. I have configured all the routes of all the IDs with that, so indicating that which app is showing in which node. So actual structure, you guys can see that normally we are having just one application. Now you guys can see that there is one container app, dashboard app, details app, and navigation. These all are actual four React apps working together. And you just not have to start one npm with that. You have to start 4 npms to run this application. Okay, so main core logic is over here. It is visible, right? Yes. So single SPA.welcome is by default when you set up the single SPA project, it is by default giving you that route. Other than that, you have to configure all the routes, which port it is starting and which application or .js file we need to load over this file, which is called index.ejs file. And in actual project, it is not right now. It's just is local. In actual project, we have a production as well. We have staging, yeah. So staging as well. So for staging and production, we have to configure all the routes over here, and all the different teams are working. Every time we need to not to start all the applications in our local. Few of the routes are coming from the production as well. Few are coming from the actual staging as well. So this is the main file. And other than this, dashboard, details and navigation file, all are simple React files. I will show the output. So this is the file. This is the single span inspector, where you can see that which application is loaded, which is unloaded, and which is in mounting state or unmounting state. So you can see this is detail screen. So over here you can see that it is not mounted. If you need to mount it or not, we can remove this details to dashboard and dashboard to details as well. And you can see that there is a separate navigation bar is separate. In simple word, if I can say is that this entire navigation bar is separate React project. The dashboard is separate React project and details is separate React project. Using single spa, these all are working together. So yeah, I think I have covered major things for you guys. So this is the output, and yeah. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, let's just do one thing. If you guys have a question, let's discuss one-to-one as well. If you have anyone have a question, then you can directly contact me as well. For now as well. Any questions, please?
Hello. The front end, this concept is completely new to me. So one thing that you could say that this architecture, micro front-end architecture, is only applicable for complex web applications. So from my point of view, that e-commerce website, e-commerce website is a complex we can make with the help of React as well. So is it a complete necessity that we make a transition from the traditional way of development to front end?
No, it is not needed. First thing first. Thank you for the question. So it is not compulsory to adapt this single spa or this micro front end architecture in your applications right now. But the future is this. Someone has previously we are developing the application with the front end back end together, but someone has divided their parts, and after that legacy is going on, that microservice is there. This is the future. Whatever I have shown to you guys is that how the application will look in future as well. This is right now we are working in our actual projects. You guys can go further with a bigger client or whatever the requirement is needed. It is not compulsory to first go with the micro front end, but this is something interesting. This is something which is coming into future, and this is what you need to face in future as well. So that is the answer from my end. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhagyashree. How was it, guys? Saraj, okay, so here we are taking a short break.
something about myself. I'm Adarsh. I'm working as a front-end engineer in Synform from last year, right? So I love to do anything and everything related to web, right? So today's topic is concerned about how we can make type-safe integrations to your front-end app. First of all, how many of you are front-end engineers? Please raise your hand, right? It doesn't matter React Native, Flutter, React, Vue, Angular, yes, right? iOS as well, right? Let me go and start the PPT. Yeah, I would like to start this talk by this wonderful quote from Dave Geddes, right? As a front-end developers, we are most lucky from all the coders. Like we get a chance to intersect between humans and machines, right? We get to design the interface which will ultimately get interacted by users, right? So that's who we are, right? But as we see, front-end designing and front-end development is slightly different from normal traditional developments, right? So we have these languages like C++, Python, which concerns about backend or EAM and stuff, right? But as a front-end engineers, what we do differently is we are not in the business of creating or selling the softwares, but we are in the business of selling the experiences, right? One of guy who was just like us designed the UX for the reels, which we keep scrolling, right? We all are addicted to it. So that requires intense amount of UX research. So that is also involved. When we say that we are front-end engineers, there is some amount of research for UX. There is some amount of development, and it is more about how your end user feels while using your website or your creation, right? So give a huge round of applause for yourselves, all the front-end engineers. Now, since this talk is concerned about the GraphQL code generation, I want you guys to see it from a larger perspective. This is more about having a type-safe integration for your front-end app. This is not regarding, if we see from larger perspective, this is not about GraphQL, this is not about React, this is more about how we can deliver type-safe features without having to worry about it, right? So, since we are going to cover GraphQL code gen, I want to know, like, how many of you guys are using GraphQL in production? Please raise your hand. Couple of them, right? Can you guys please define what GraphQL is so others who don't know get the idea? In layman's terms. Yeah.
GraphQL is a alternative of APIs. We are using GET APIs. We can use a query for GraphQL. For Post API, we are using mutation for that. And alternative of sockets, we are using subscription in GraphQL.
What's your name, sir? Can we have a huge round of applause for us? So, if you guys are shifting from REST to the GraphQL, the basic difference here is for getting the resources we use something known as queries, and for updating, deleting or mutating the resource we use mutations, right? So that's the difference, and the core difference between REST and GraphQL is we as a front-end engineers get to decide what we need, what exactly we need, nothing more, nothing less, right? So that's what GraphQL is. We have to cover it before the GraphQL code gen, because if we don't have any idea about the GraphQL, we won't be able to understand what code gen is, right? So, yeah. Now, as you guys are aware, like there are a couple of problems when we try to adapt the GraphQL, right? So I want you guys to know, like you guys are interacting with backend guys on day-to-day basis, right? And you guys are designing the APIs on the front-end side, and you guys are deciding what features will work where, right? So I want to know what the traditional flow looks like. How you design from the perspective, this let's say this is a new requirement, we need to create this dashboard, right? So how do you guys work? I want to know the process. The problem is in the answer itself. Yeah, if you guys can share your process. Yeah, please.
So first of all, like we definitely like your dashboard, right? So backend stuff we have to check, like what database tables we have to check, right? Then we'll go for the backend server, Node.js, and we'll write the queries, and then we go for the React.js, like what charts and libraries we can use and how we manipulate the data. So this is like life cycle where we like whenever we get the requirement from to like display the output.
Correct. Yeah. What's your name? Harsh. Harsh. Can we have a huge round of applause for Harsh? Yeah. Though the answer is correct, when we consume GraphQL, there is a slight difference. We need to check the schema before implementing anything, right? What resides in schema? Like if you guys are working on the user profile for dashboard, you need to check what attributes it's giving, right? What name, last name, what fields are there, what types of properties are there. We need to check them. After that, as a front-end developer, if you guys are working in production, chances are that you are using TypeScript. There is no other way around it to make it type-safe, right? So what you will do is, rather than making component or deciding what UI should look like or making UX decisions, you first will create the interface, correct? With the whatever the schema is. Let's say for user, you will create a schema like user type name is equal to string, age is somewhat number, is subscription purchase boolean, right? This kind of schemas. So the thing with that is when you work on a large scale project, right? Things get complicated very quickly. Like let's say assume a scenario, right? Your project manager comes. Backend guys have developed API for creating a dashboard. Let's say e-commerce website we are making, and what PM is saying is like we now have to support the dashboard, right? So there are a couple of queries and couple of mutations for that, right? And the wonderful statement they will say is, I want this to be completed by EOD, right? Every single time. Now the decision is up to you. What you will do is, half of the time of yours will be gone in designing the interfaces and the hooks for that, right? Correct? You will design the hooks, you will try to make it type-safe anyhow. But as a front-end engineer, what our primary role is to make UX simpler and elegant for end users. That's the primary goal. Using TypeScript and making it type-safe is just a byproduct of designing your product, right? So half of your time will be gone into it. Let's go to another scenario, like as a front-end developer, what you will do is you will peep into the schema, backend schema, right? Let's say some array is coming from the backend, which have some properties. Okay. Now the tricky thing is, if you guys are not 100% aware when you are implementing this, you will make mistake. Like for the schema, let's say some array is coming, let's say products, right? So which is optional from the backend. It may come, it may not come, right? But when you design it for a front end and you are not 100% concentrated while designing the interface, you will make that type as a permanent type, right? Now you render some piece of UX based on that product, right? That products.map whatever JSX, right? So the thing is, now when it will come as an undefined from the backend, your application will crash, right? Even though you are using TypeScript, it will crash. Because why the thing, you are seeing a pattern here, right? Like why, if we are considering backend as a source of truth, a schema is there, model is there, why can't we just leverage the schema from there itself? Why we have to define it on front end? Why we have to do the work, extra work, right? It's more like reinventing the wheel, correct? Yeah, so these are the potential problems of manually typing the schemas, right? Sometimes we need to remind ourselves, like how your end user feels while using your website, the user experience is more important than writing complex TypeScript interfaces which won't even ship in the production build, right? At the same time, this is also true that shipping a secure and reliable feature is more important than shipping a good feature which can crash. So here we are confused. Like you are seeing the dilemma here. we need to make it typeset, but we need to make elegant feature as well. We can't spare time for both of them, right? We have to choose either one of them, right? It's complicated. So if we move forward, this actually boils down to user retention rate. Retention is how much your user will use your website and how much customer you can retain. Is highly dependent on how quickly we ship elegant features, right? So customer will actually, if you ship a good feature, customer will explicitly, you know the word of mouth, right? This new feature has come, why don't you use it? They will market it by themselves only, we don't need to create any marketing, right? So that's their user retention is highly dependent on how quickly and how fast we can ship the features which are useful as well as elegant. But the thing is, we also, as from developers perspective, we also want to ship these features which are secure and reliable, right? Which won't break in production, just like the quiz did, right? So we again same thing, dilemma. What we need to choose? Should we go for UI? In that case, we make the compromising TypeScript, right? We will start to type any and other things like unknown, whatever, right? If we go like we want to concentrate on UX, we'll compromise on TypeScript. If we are fully dedicated to the TypeScript, that we want to deliver a feature which is fully stable and secure and reliable, which won't break in production, we want to make sure we can't have the work done for the UX, right? So it's a dilemma. It's if we get an example of this, is like choosing between right thing and right thing. Choosing between wrong thing and right thing is easy, right? But choosing between things which are when both of them are right, it's difficult. It's damn difficult, right? So you might question like, why can't we have both, right? What gives developer sense of satisfaction, right? At the end of the day, when you not use any in your TypeScript project, you develop a TypeScript component. It actually feels great. It's a ego massage to your right? But as and when project grows, the requirement grows, and the standard statement that I want is by EOD, we start with strict types and then we go with like any sort of unknown, whatever, right? So that's the scenario. Or if we focus on TypeScript, we have some paired UX like this. What started as a passion project is now just a piece of website with paired UX. It's a website of Ministry of Health and Welfare, by the way. You see this architect going on, text alignment is not proper, the cards are not proper, no UI. Actually, they are using images for buttons as well. So you are clearly saying that this is not a piece of UI which you want to interact with, right? And the standard scenario, right? Backend guys will make changes in schema without making you aware about it. You get your work done, go to home. Next day morning you will start your project and see some error like this. Backend is now changed, right? Now we don't have the last name field in the type of user. Since now the decision has been made, like why don't we have name which can have last name and first name too? So remove first name and last name, let's keep it name. But now we have rendering logic attached to it, right? As a front-end engineers, we have expected that this field will come, but now it's not, right? So that's where we are actually, from the couple of slides, we are iterating on the same thing again and again. Like, should we choose UX or should we choose TypeScript? Because we have seen that both of them are important, right? So, wouldn't it be great if you have some guys or some tool which can actually help you design the interfaces, which says like, I'll take responsibility for designing the interfaces, I'll take responsibility for creating hooks, you can just focus on UX, right? That's the primary role of front-end engineer, by the way. right? So wouldn't it be great we can choose both here, like proper UX as well as the type safety of the TypeScript, right? We can ship reliable and elegant features both at the same time. Yeah, so congratulations, you just learned GraphQL Codegen. It's a tool. It's a tool which helps you generate the types by introspecting your backend, right, or your schema. Yeah, introducing GraphQL Codegen. What is it? Lorem ipsum. Oh, how do you convey that you are a front-end developer? You use this dummy text. Yeah, just kidding. We'll make the definition on the fly, right? It's a tool which enables us to derive the types from the backend. If we consider backend as a source of truth, right? It will derive the type definitions and the interfaces from the backend schema without you having to worry about it. So now, as a front-end developer, whatever tech stack you are using, like React Native or Flutter or Vue or React, right? You don't have to worry about. You have one less thing to worry about, right? You can directly focus on UX now. So that's what Codegen is. Yeah, we cannot leave REST users. So this is similar kind of thing which is available for REST API users. So you might come and say like we are using REST API, why we cannot use GraphQL Codegen, right? So there is this thing TRPC-IO which is using same ideology. Implementation might be different, but using the same ideology. Like it can generate types from the backend REST APIs, right? And whatever your preference might be, you are using Yup or Zod in the front end, right? For the validation, you are using some kind of forms where you need validation, schema validation. It can generate that types, but it is for REST. So as I said earlier, this is more about solving the problem of making the type safe APIs in the front end, right? It's more about it. It's not about GraphQL or React. Why should you use it? Why should we use Codegen? Right? First is, it is framework agnostic, meaning that you can use it with any frameworks, Vue, React, even Kotlin. There are plugins available for all of them, right? React Native, web. How many of you are using different state management libraries? Right? You might be using Apollo. There are high chances if you are using GraphQL, you are using Apollo, right? That's the match made in heaven for GraphQL, right? But there are some people who use other state management with GraphQL as well, right? React query users, no one. Oh, two of them, right? Redux toolkit, many of them, right? So this can work with all. Yeah, you just need to have backend GraphQL schema. This can derive the types from whatever your schema is, right? It saves you from headache. That's the main reason you should start using the Codegen. As developers, you hate to write the complex TypeScript interfaces, which sometimes for the juniors it doesn't make sense. When we use generics, right? They are saying, what is this weird syntax going on here? So it saves you from headache. It saves your time. Like you can focus on what. If we go by same example, you can directly start working on the dashboard because now you have types generated automatically, right? Helps in maintaining productivity. So here is the code. Developers' productivity is directly proportional to how much TypeScript error he or she avoids during the development, right? It figures out like when you're working on some kind of dashboard important thing and you spend 2 hours just solving the TypeScript error, right? So the productivity also depends in it. It leaves no footprints in build. How many of you know what leaving the footprint means? No one? Strange, right? So when you generate so the good thing about GraphQL Codegen is it's a built-in dependency. So it will generate types. You need to install this as a dev dependency in your project. It will not ship in the actual build. The types will only be shipped, right? So it will do its work and leave. We don't require GraphQL Codegen in production, right? So one more thing, one magic thing it does is it can generate hooks as well, right? Your hooks with type safety right? So you don't have to worry about that even. And it is reliable and safe. It provides reliable and safe integration. So as a point of view, if you look at it from point of view of team leader or senior engineer, you don't want your developers who are working under you to type random interfaces in your project, right? Because as and when project grows, the chances of it being crashed is now much more sufficient, right? So you don't want your developers to write types manually. So this helps, like you can have, why don't we have command which can automatically generate types when we start and end our project, right? You don't have to worry about types. So that's about types and Codegen, right? It's demo time, right? We're going to be making one of the most unique app in the web space. Or I said to do. It's a lame joke, I know, right? So let's first break down. The UI, right? So how many components? Can someone summarize? Can someone break it down into components? It's easy. Yeah.
So we can have an add to do section. And the left hand side with the input of, so we can have the input component. Then we have the options. All. So that can be the component. Then we have the list, so list component. And in that we have the functionality of delete actions. So yeah, in total we have 1, 2, 3, around 4 to 5. Yeah.
What's your name, sir? Jay. Can we have a huge round of applause for Jay? Now, if we look at it from a perspective of API integration from the GraphQL, how many queries and mutation it will need? Yeah, you can see it on mic.
एक इलेक्ट्रो म्यूटेशन लागছে એક ચેટ બોક્સ નો लागছে એક એડ ટુ ડુ માટે મ્યુટેશન लागছে અને એક ક્વેરી लागছে બધા ડેટા ફેચ કરવા માટે પછી ઓલ માટે ઈ બધા છે એ પેરામીટર્સ હશે એક જ ક્વેરીમાં એટલે સેમ ક્વેરીમાં આપણે ઓલ કમ્બાઈન શું છે કોમ્પ્લીટેડ અને બીજો ઓપ્શન છે આપણે પાસ કરશું એડ ની અંદર છે એટલે મ્યુટેશન થયું પ્લસ સેમ એપ્લિકેશન જો આપણે બીજે બનાવી છે તો સબસ્ક્રિપ્શન આપણે નાખવું પડશે એડ કરવા માટે ક્વેરી માટે એટલે સબસ્ક્રિપ્શન કોઈ બી બીજા પર્સન છે એના ડિવાઇસમાંથી છે એડ કરશે કોઈ તો એ અહીંયા ઓટોમેટિકલી આપણને સેટ થઈ જશે.
Great answer. Can we have a huge round of applause? So this no. We completed pretty much everything. Yeah. So now let's jump into the code, right? What I have done is I have created 5 same to-dos app with respect to different state management. You can use it in RTK also, you can use it in DA-query also, you can use it in Apollo also. There is a GraphQL Yoga server up and running from where we are consuming the schema, right? And there are 2 examples of how normal engineer who doesn't know Codegen will define the schema and how they will interact with API, right? So our journey here will be to going from no types at all to making it fully type safe, right? So the UI is same for all 5 projects. The to-do list is same, right? But the thing is internal implementation is different for all of them, right? So first of all, is it visible till the end? It's not. Is it now? Okay. So this is the first example of to-do where we won't be using, even though we are using TypeScript project, we won't be using types. So as Ajay Bhai said, we have queries and mutation right here. Close this. These are some mutations And this is the component architecture, basic, you all know, right? But what we are doing here is, what you will do is, you will pass that query into use query if you are using React Apollo. Yes, everyone? Yeah. But the problem with this is, if we hover over data, any Doctor Strange in madness of TypeScript, right? Yeah. So you will pass, you will drill down that data to other components where it will leverage any, right? So this is the first way how a developer will do it, right? And you will manually type those types in other components if we see. Right? Here is the type, to list props. So every time you will pass this, you need to redefine it. And even if it, even when it's changed, you have to make changes across the app, right? Because you have defined this interface, correct? Yeah. So that is the first approach, right? Now if we go to example 2, which some of you might be doing, right? This one. Yeah. You use generics to make it type safe, right? But again, the same problem. When your schema changes, you have to make some modifications, right? If we are saying here we are using this to-do type in get to-dos, and to-dos type is this ID, title, complete, and timestamp, right? So every time the schema changes, every time the backend will change its schema, you have to manually come here and update this, right? Every single time. So even though this is type safe, we have to do a lot of work when the schema changes, right? Apart from that, there is a third way, right? If we want to provide an abstraction over this, right? Why can't we leverage the use query hook and put it inside another hook, a custom hook, where it will be only responsible for get to-dos, right? We can name it something like use get to-dos query, which will leverage the use query. We can use hooks inside hooks, yes or no? Yes. You should start using it, by the way, if you are not. Yeah. So that's the second example. So what we discussed so far is like we can have these hooks where we define types, and that hook is for specific use case. So now you have separation of concern as well, right? But what if I say this can be done by Codegen? Every single thing. Your types, your interfaces, every single thing. If we see this, right? Now, if we use Codegen, right, we have to install these packages as dev dependency, GraphQL, Codegen, CLI, and depending on what flavor of state management you are using. If you are using React Apollo, there is an additional plugin for that. If you are using React Query, there is plugin for that as well, right? So you have to install this dev dependencies. This will not be inside the build folder when you generate a build, right? It won't leave any footprints, right? It will do its thing, and it will generate the types to for you to leverage, right? Now the thing with Codegen is you have to make Codegen aware, like where your backend schema resides, where your backend is, where your backend GraphQL schema is, right? You have to tell Codegen like where you need to generate these types, in what folder specifically, right? And you need to tell like what kind of flavor of state management you are using, right? These three things. So that can be defined in this file, codegen.yml. It's a YAML file, basically similar like JSON, right? Key value pairs. So the first thing is you define where your schema is. So in our case, we are using local server. So that's the path for that. Second, you need to point out where you are writing your queries and mutations, right? Where you are writing that GQL queries. So it goes there and fetches the data, right? And then you need to update the path, like where the generated types should reside, right? So there we are providing the path. We need to put this generated types inside generated folder, right? Not necessarily generated, but this is a convention, right? And we want it to be defined inside type.ts, right? So if we currently see this, if you run the command, let me delete this first. Right? If we go to the React Apollo, if we stop the server, and we can use that command. By the way, how you write the command? You can specify a script here for generating that, right? There is this new script, Codegen. Oh, by the way, we are using Beat, and you should do, because Cry is now outdated. Codegen, which will provide the following config, right? You have to point out where your config file is to let it understand where the schema is and how to generate it, right? So now, if we type this command, see the new generated folder in the file tree, and you see this parsed the configuration and generated the output for you, so you don't have to. So now you can basically focus on your UI tasks. If we go inside the types, so this is purely generated. We haven't done anything. These types are generated, right? Every single thing. So there is no chance of you, when you use Codegen, there is no chance of you using wrong types or any as well, right? But importantly, what you will see is there are these types. There are types of variables as well, which you can pass through the mutations. Every single thing is now typed, right? Every single thing. Add to the mutation, delete to the mutation, every single thing. It's there inside types. But additionally, and what the magic is, it will generate hooks for you as well. This is use add to the mutation, designed and created by Codegen, so you don't have to. Right? There are other mutations and queries as well. And one more thing to notice here, it came with this JS documentation, right? So as and when a project grows, and suppose you are using Codegen and you leave the project, right? The next developer comes and they don't know what this hook does. So they have to control click the hook and then go through the implementation. So that's not the practice we follow while working on the large scale project, right? So this JS doc comment helps, like you see that pop-up coming in the VS Code when you hover over the hook, right? Like this. So that comes with this JS doc, right? It also does that for you. So if you now hover over any mutation, you can have types, you have examples, you have everything which is required for this code, right? Example as well, every single thing, right? So that's the beauty of using the Codegen, right? Now, this was for React Apollo. For React Query, the configuration is different, right? For every state management provider, the configuration is different. It's there inside the Codegen documentation. You can go through it, right? So you can use different state management providers as well. So these are basically 5 tools which use different state management things, right? But have same sort of, let's say, UX, right? So now you see, type something, you can cancel it out, you can delete it as well, right? So now you can focus on what you are here for, UX, not types, right? So one less headache for you, right? So that's where we conclude the demo, right? Going back to the presentation. Is it a mere coincidence? You guys learned about React 18, you guys learned about how to generate types with Codegen, and you guys have learned about micro frontends as well, right? Is it a mere coincidence? I don't think so. Because if I were to decide tech stack for my next project, I will use this. Because it can scale without limits, any limits, right? You can use React 18 thanks to Omni. You can use micro frontends thanks to Bhagyashree, and you can dynamically generate types so you can focus on UX, right? So you have learned small thing which actually is important from the developer perspective, right? End user won't see all of these things, right? They won't even concerned about it. But you guys, it's important for you. These are small acts, right? But as Vincent says, the artist, like, great things are not done by impulse, they are done by small acts brought together, right? So these three can scale very well. They go with each other pretty well, right? So that was it about the Codegen. Acknowledgements, I work at Simpom and we have growth culture, we have growth centric culture. I would like to thank my mentors. Meetbhai is here. Meetbhai, if you can raise your hands. Can we have a huge round of applause for him? It's important for every developer that he or she goes through their nurturing phase where they make mistakes and it's okay to make mistakes. So that's what matters, right? I want to thank Ravi Bhai for constantly supporting this, right? Can we have a big round of applause for him? Right? I would like to thank event partners Simpom, value partner 7-1. Can we have a huge round of applause for them? Last but not least, supporting staff without whom this arrangement was not possible, right? So can we have a huge round of applause for volunteers? You guys tolerated me, Avni and Bhagyashree, so huge round of applause for yourselves. Thank you so